He doesn't have anything on him, right? Julian, I am the champion, king of the world. Champion, not the king of looking at Conor McGregor. If that name evokes memories of dazzling glory, explosive punches, or the image of a proud warrior stepping into the octagon with fiery eyes, well, that's hardly surprising. He was once seen as the brightest star in the UFC sky, a man who could knock out opponents in the blink of an eye, the first to dominate 2 weight classes as if destiny itself had been written just for him. And then his audacious leap into the boxing ring to challenge Floyd Mayweather turned McGregor into a global focal point, raking in hundreds of millions of dollars while cementing his status as the UFC's indispensable money-making machine. But every light casts a shadow. In recent years, the name McGregor has been mentioned less for victories and more for the controversies outside the octagon. From high-profile legal troubles to the image of an icon gradually losing his edge, fans can't help but wonder, is the once invincible warrior slipping from the very throne he once ruled? From a celebrated legend to a name met with caution by the media and skepticism by the public, what really happened? How could someone who once stood atop the world lose their way amidst the glare of fame? Today, we'll rewind the tape to revisit that journey from the heights of glory to the depths of loss. And perhaps this isn't just the story of a fighter, but a reminder of the cost of fame. The brighter the shine, the darker the shadow behind it. So let's begin. I'm out of here. I'm going to just drive out of this building, head home, and pursue this dream of becoming a world champion in mixed martial arts. And that's what I did. I drove home. When I got home, my mother and father said, "How come you're not still at work?" And I said, "I'm never going to go back to that site another day in my life." And then all hell broke loose. But you might not like Conor McGregor, and that's completely understandable. Yet if you truly look back at where it all began, it's hard not to be struck by his journey. Let's rewind to the early days, a nobody from a gritty working-class neighborhood in Dublin, Ireland. No money, no fame. By day, toiling with a wrench as a plumber's apprentice. By night, immersed in a cramped gym, pouring every drop of sweat into a dream the world dismissed as far-fetched, becoming a UFC legend. And then that dream sparked to life. In his debut fight, McGregor knocked out his opponent in a merciless 67 seconds. Afterward, he unleashed bold proclamations so confident they left people both stunned and intimidated, as if fate itself had long been scripted in his favor. McGregor didn't just win. He exploded as a phenomenon, a fighter with fists of steel and the ability to electrify an arena with his audacious words. That blazing ego set him apart, and it was the very fuel that propelled him to the top. But the brighter the light, the larger the shadow. As victories came effortlessly, McGregor began to believe he was invincible. And little by little, the ego that built a legend turned into a double-edged sword, until one day, the same hands that crafted history inadvertently shattered the illusion he had created. From there, McGregor's journey turned to a new chapter, a freefall with no brakes. Conor, take a look around you. You got a lot of champions, a lot of grizzled vets. Who do you think would give you the hardest fight out of anybody on stage? This guy TKOs people. When I knock people out, they don't move. They're not. Who is that guy? To understand why Conor McGregor dared to hold his head high and defy the world, we must rewind to April 6, 2013, the moment that launched a legend. An unknown stepped into the UFC, and in just 67 seconds, he knocked out Marcus Brimage. It wasn't just the punch nor the speed. It was a cold declaration. McGregor didn't come to test himself. He came to dominate. Congratulations. Thank you very much, Dana. 60 seconds, baby. Standing in the cage, eyes blazing, McGregor delivered what seemed like a thank you but was, in truth, a warning to the world. I didn't just come here to win. I came to make the world pay me what I'm worth. And he did exactly that. Not content with early glory, McGregor took a daring risk, moving up a weight class at the peak of his career. A bold, challenging decision. Experts tipped their hats to his skill. The media praised his unyielding, relentless spirit. September 27th, I'm going to rip Dustin's head clean off. You know, it makes no difference about nothing. Just a little pea head. And he got wobbled about 40 times. His chin is deteriorating. Every single contest he gets in, he hits one knee. A gust of wind and he does the chicken dance, you know what I mean. But somewhere along the way, The hero's image began to crack, and perhaps McGregor himself didn't realize. When the spotlight shines too brightly, it can blind the one basking in it to the abyss right beneath their feet. Once seen as an invincible icon, McGregor began to falter, struggling to rediscover himself. The man who once prophesied knocking out Aldo in seconds now found himself helpless against the submission hold. The one who once commanded the media with audacious words became a victim of the very myth of invincibility he had sown. Because kings rarely fall by another sword, they fall because they believe no one dares raise a blade against them. The confidence that once made McGregor a champion began to slide into arrogance. He didn't just want to win. He wanted the world to marvel at how he won, acting as if his opponents were merely lucky to share the same ring. At first, that bravado was celebrated as part of his aura, but the higher he climbed, the more his contempt showed, and from there, the audience's gaze began to shift. The first clear sign of this fracture appeared in 2014 during his initial clash with Dustin Poirier. September 27, 2014, UFC 178. Dustin Poirier was then a young, rising fighter, fiery, skilled, and eager to prove himself. But in McGregor's eyes, he was nothing more than a mediocre contender dragged onto a stage too big for his abilities. It wasn't just provocation. It was McGregor's cold declaration: "I play at a different level, and you're not on my level." September 27th, "I'm going to rip Dustin's head clean off. You know, it makes no difference about nothing. Just a little pea head." And he got wobbled about 40 times. His chin is deteriorating. Every single contest he gets in, he hits one knee. A gust of wind and he does the chicken dance, you know what I mean. And then the cage proved him right. In just the first round, Dustin fell. McGregor walked away calmly, not celebrating wildly, but like a king casually expanding his empire, treating the victory as a foregone conclusion. But it was all just a prelude until the fateful night of December 12th, 2015. In just 13 seconds, McGregor landed a single devastating punch that ended Jose Aldo's 7-year unbeaten reign, a featherweight icon thought to be untouchable. A fleeting moment of brilliance, a cold victory. Aldo collapsed, and with him, an entire illustrious era crumbled, lying motionless under the stage lights amid the roar of a frenzied crowd, sounds that no longer belonged to him. From that moment, McGregor was no longer just a challenger. He became the one rewriting the rules. The octagon turned into his stage, and he, no longer merely a fighter, but a performer of extreme confidence. His arrogance forged into legend. "If I faint and he reacts some way, I will faint and give him that,"